Can you imagine Vladimir Putin staring at a map of Europe, his finger tracing the icy waters of the Baltic Sea, plotting domination as U.S. submarine hunters close in like shadows in the night? Picture the salty spray of the Baltic whipping against Russian hulls, the distant hum of engines echoing betrayal for Putin's ambitions. In this tense standoff, where NATO's watchful eyes pierce the fog, the U.S. isn't just observing, it's exposing Russia's every move. The Baltic Sea holds deep significance for Russia across multiple fronts. Through their Kaliningrad exclave, they employ hybrid warfare to pressure NATO alliances. It's also a crucial pathway for Russia's shadowy fleet of ships, now dubbed a NATO lake where Moscow must assert control. Yet, this sea embodies something profound to Russia, a gateway to the budding Arctic theater that Vladimir Putin aspires to control soon. But the U.S. refuses to let that dream unfold. Their submarine trackers are converging on Russia's borders and the Baltic expanse, stripping away Putin's shield and laying bare his northern vulnerabilities. Newsweek revealed this seismic shift on September 30th. Their coverage illuminated how the U.S. stationed numerous military planes in Norway. Routinely deployed to NATO territories, this hasn't been extraordinary. Norway hosts these rotations frequently across Nordic and Baltic zones. What elevates this is the aircraft type chosen. Not additional jets to counter Russia's drone swarms or incursions. The U.S. deployed a vessel designed for submarine pursuit and enemy reconnaissance around the Baltic. Enter the U.S. Navy's P-8 Poseidon. It appears the U.S. dispatched multiple to surveil Russia's perimeters, disrupting Putin's Baltic and Arctic schemes. The Kyiv Independent outlines its core roles, highlighting anti-submarine combat and surface ship monitoring for intelligence. Recall Russia's hidden fleet from earlier? The P-8 Poseidon excels at spotting and trailing those craft, diminishing their value to Moscow. The U.S. Naval Academy, or USNA, delves deeper. They describe the P-8 Poseidon as a revamped Boeing 737-800ERX, fusing durability with turbofan propulsion for velocity and resilience. Its modular design, featuring an adaptable mission architecture, lets operators tweak payloads and systems per task. Vigilance defines its mission, armed with robust surveillance tools. These include active multi-static and passive acoustic sensors for sub-detection, plus infrared cameras and a numerical magnetic anomaly finder. Essentially, the P-8 waits silently, its sensors honing in on underwater anomalies with chilling precision. Beyond watching, it's formidable in confrontations, targeting vessels and subs over air threats. USNA notes its 5-bay internal armory, alongside 4 wing mounts and 2 central pylons for ordnance. Loads shift by mission, encompassing mines, torpedoes, explosives, and guided projectiles via a digital management suite. The UK's Royal Navy adds specs. Their P-8's duo CFM567 engines produce 27,000 pounds of thrust each, capping speed at 563 miles hourly. No fighter's supersonic edge. Yet ample for sweeping vast territories swiftly, ideal for Baltic patrols, the thunder of water beneath stirring nerves. It ascends to 41,000 feet, invisible to naked glances from Russian decks. If targeted, defenses activate, a missile alarm net, infrared blockers, and decoy launchers. Plus, 129 sonobuoys dropped to amplify sub-hunts. This plane chills Russian fleets with its sheer prowess. Now, the U.S. stations several in Norway, patrolling the Baltic and near-Arctic borders. But how many shadow Russia's dreams? What unexpected twist will humiliate Putin's grip next? Building on that chilling deployment, Ascent Technical's account analyzed flight logs, spotting 2 or 3 P-8s landing at Norway's Gardermoen airport on September 23. Not idle, they're active in forbidden skies. U.S. Navy P-8 Poseidon patrol planes linger near Russia's Kaliningrad exclave tonight, they report. Several P-8s arrived in Oslo recently, a stone's throw from the drone-infested Baltic. Imagine the quiet menace, rotors slicing through misty air over disputed waters. Newsweek confirms at least one patrolled the Baltic, edging Kaliningrad's shorelines. No confirmed airspace breach, unlike Russia's recent taunts, yet the plane's presence taunts Moscow's secrecy. Even at a distance, it declares NATO's unrelenting gaze, the taste of saltwater on the air hinting at exposed secrets. Which tactics will Russia expose first, their shadow ships or invisible subs? How might the psychological warfare escalate when Trump's past vanishes? This vigilance signals doom for Putin's Baltic and Arctic goals. starting with NATO's air policing boost. Prior to this, the U.S. joined since July, with AP-8 at Iceland's Keflavik for the Baltic Sentry operation. These Norway-bound units likely supplement that. The cold wind carries echoes of dominance shifting. Beyond subs, the U.S. reinforced stands. On August 1, Trump's ire at Putin's proxies led to pairing nuclear subs in Baltic depths. Provoked by Dmitry Medvedev's ex-jabs, accusing Trump of belligerent tariffs favoring Russia oil buyers, each ultimatum edged toward war, not with Ukraine, but the U.S. Avoid Sleepy's path. Medvedev warned July 28. Was it the barbs or the threats? Trump counterposted on Truth Social, deploying dual nuclear subs to appropriate zones. Drawn by ex-President Medvedev's reckless rants, he stated, now Security Council deputy, 2 subs await in case words turn savage. This tit-for-tat tension masks real impact, subs strengthening NATO in Baltic or Arctic seas, unseen menaces prowling waves. A month on, a U.S. carrier task force ventured Arctic waters for Norwegian drills in the Barents Sea, off Norway and Russia. The USS Gerald R. Ford led, flanked by destroyers USS Mahan and Bainbridge. Temporary, yet a bold sign, U.S. allegiance to NATO, power aimed at Putin. Fleeting, it etched warnings in stone. Now, with P-8s entrenched, the message hardens, the U.S. curbs Russia's Baltic freedoms, now a NATO domain. Hunters watch above and beneath. For Putin, ambitions fracture, Baltic vulnerabilities, Arctic dreams slipping like ice. What hidden weakness will crack Russia's facade, turning the tide dramatically? The roar of jets over chilling seas foreshadows upheaval, as alliances tighten and shadows lengthen. Imagine a mighty sea beast lurking in the shadows, hunting with relentless precision. How far will Vladimir Putin go to salvage his crumbling Arctic dreams as American hunters close in on his every move? The Baltic Sea pulses like a living entity, its cold waves whispering secrets of dominance and defiance. Russia clings to it fiercely, its Kaliningrad outpost a thorn in NATO's side, launching hybrid tactics that echo like distant thunder. Yet, for Putin, this waterway isn't just a weapon, it's a lifeline to the frozen Arctic, a theater he aches to command in the brutal years ahead. But the United States, unyielding and strategic, isn't backing down. U.S. sub-hunters swarm the borders now, their advanced machines peeling back the veil over Putin's exposed northern strategy. In this tale of naval shadows and aerial supremacy, we've witnessed Russia's shadow fleet slithering through these waters, their vessels a ghost army evading sanctions with oily resolve. The Batman-inspired introduction hinted at these phantoms, and now, the P-8 Poseidon emerges as the ultimate nemesis, a flying leviathan perfect for sniffing out those elusive ships. Remember how we uncovered Kyiv Independence insights on its prowess in anti-submarine warfare and surface tracking? That sets the stage for the U.S. Naval Academy's deeper revelations. Diving into those details, shudder as the plane's secrets unfold. Can Vladimir Putin escape this high-tech entrapment? Hear the roar of twin CFM56-7 jet engines, each thrusting a crushing 27,000 pounds of force, propelling this beast to a peak velocity around 563 miles per hour. It's no supersonic shark to shatter barriers, mind you, but for a colossus like this, speed is its silent edge, sweeping vast expanses in rushes, ideal for cruising the turbulent Baltic. The P-8, forged from a modified Boeing 737-800ERX, melds unwavering reliability with the raw power of turbofan jets. Envision its sleek form slicing through freezing mists, the vibration under its wings a tactile pulse against the chill. Modularity defines it, an open mission system architecture letting operators tweak loads and tech on the fly, adapting to each shadowy mission. Surveillance isn't just a job, it's the plane's beating heart, armed with an arsenal of sensors that pierce the depths. Picture the hum of active multi-static and passive acoustic systems, detecting subs' eerie signatures beneath the waves, the cool touch of infrared scanners spotting hidden heat, and the digital magnetic anomaly detector sniffing out anomalies like a predator tasting prey. In short, this machine waits and watches the underworld's oddities, zoning in on the irregular with predatory focus. What lurks unseen in those icy fathoms? The air thick with tension, the scent of salt and fuel. But the P-8 isn't purely a voyeur, it's battle-ready, though its quarries are ships and subs, not skyfighters. Feel the jolt as USNA details its arsenal, an internal 5-station weapons bay, for wing pylons, and 2 centerline pylons groaning under customizable arms. Missions dictate the load, mines that hiss into the sea. Torpedoes slicing water like blades, bombs erupting in thunderous plumes, cruise missiles streaking with precision, all managed by a digital store system that hums with lethal efficiency. Britain's Royal Navy adds more fuel to the fire, confirming these gems. Can you hear Putin's frustration mounting as these details spill out? A question that hangs like fog. The plane's ceiling soars to 41,000 feet, soaring invisible to the naked eye from hostile decks below, its altitude a shroud. If spotted and assaulted, salvation comes via missile approach warnings that shrill like alarms, infrared countermeasures flaring to blind threats, and a dedicated dispenser vomiting decoys. Oh, and a stockpile of 129 sonobuoys, dropped like depth charges to amplify submarine hunts, their splashes echoing doom for Russian vessels. The P-8 embodies nightmare fuel for Putin's fleet, a versatile titan that's both sentinel and striker. Now, with U.S. forces dispatching several to Norway, these hunters lurk at Russia's doorstep, wings aching for action in the Baltic and Arctic fringes. Feel the ground tremor as per Osint Technical X's flight traces, 2 or 3 P-8s landing at Oslo's Gardermoen airport on September 23. They're not idle relics, they're prowling knights, hovering off Kaliningrad with defiant grace. U.S. Navy P-8 Poseidon patrol aircraft loiter off the Russian exclave tonight, the reports blaze, planes deployed afresh, mere minutes from the drone-racked Baltic turmoil. Newsweek escalates, at least one has swept the sea, brushing Kaliningrad's shores. A patrol that might skirt airspace but radiates watchfulness. Russia feels the gaze, NATO's unblinking eye exposing flaws, from shadow ships to lurking subs. What blunder will Putin unveil next under the scrutiny? The chill descends. Worse for him, these American arrivals shred any imagined leash on former President Trump. Reality check, that grip evaporated long ago. This P-8 surge joins a cascade of U.S. moves hardening NATO's Baltic shield. Flashback to August 1, Trump's fury boiling over Putin's proxies. In response to Dmitry Medvedev's X-tirade, each new ultimatum is a threat, a step to war, not with Ukraine but his own land. Don't tread Sleepy Joe's path. The U.S. leader retaliated via Truth Social, ordering 2 nuclear subs to appropriate regions, likely Baltic or Arctic strongholds, bolstering defenses with prowling giants beneath the waves. Is this just childish back and forth? A rhythmic mockery of tit-for-tat gambits. Yet, outcomes endure. Those subs, possibly still gliding silent, elevate NATO's unity. A month later, a U.S. carrier group ventured the Arctic's Barents Sea for Norwegian drills, USS Mahan and Bainbridge, ex-Fort flankers, ounce of naval might into Putin's backyard. Temporary waves subsided, but the signal etched, America embraces allies, projecting power unabashed. Now, P-8s etch its stone. The NATO Lake Baltic's myth shatters, airspace and depths under constant vigil. Subhunters activate on Russia's fringe, ruthless and unwavering. Prefixing with prior unfoldings, the P-8's core ensures it zones in on underwater anomalies, sensors vibrating with data. What vulnerabilities does Putin hide as American eyes widen? The tension coils. For Russia's Arctic ambitions, this deployment spells upheaval, commencing with monumentally bolstering Baltic air policing. Beyond this push, US P-8s joined Iceland's Keflavik sentry duties for Baltic Sentry. Chances heighten this wave aligns, amplifying hybrid defenses against Russia's incursions. But wait, the narrative twists, these P-8s aren't standalone warriors. Their modular might lets pilots swap strategies mid-sky, infrared countermeasures popping like fireworks to evade missiles, the digital magnetic anomaly detector pulsing like a sixth sense. Can the Kremlin endure a sonobuoy's rain detection? The Adriatic chill blends with engine roars, sea smells mingling engine exhaust. Putin's facade crumbles, Arctic dreams iced over by these winged guardians. What desperate ploy will he unleash now? Hearts race in anticipation. The previous segment highlighted the impressive capabilities of the P-8 Poseidon, which, while not as fast as fighter jets, is agile enough to cover vast areas quickly. This makes it an ideal candidate for patrolling strategic zones like the Baltic Sea. Now, let's delve deeper into the P-8's potential as it hovers at incredible heights. With a maximum altitude of 41,000 feet, the P-8 can conduct surveillance while remaining undetected to the untrained eye from Russian ships below. In a world brimming with tension, this drone-like craft doesn't just observe, it's armed to defend itself. Imagine a scenario where it encounters threats, a missile approach warning system kicks in, alerting the crew to danger. Its infrared countermeasures and dedicated dispensers are prepared to counteract any incoming attacks. Additionally, the P-8 is capable of deploying 129 sonobuoys, which plummet into the ocean to aid in detecting enemy submarines lurking beneath the waves. With such formidable features, it's no wonder this aircraft is considered a significant threat to Russian naval operations. Recently, several of these P-8s found their way to Norway, strategically positioned to operate in the Baltic Sea and extend their reach toward the Arctic, right at Russia's doorstep. But the pressing question remains, how many P-8s are there? Reports confirmed that 2 or possibly 3 P-8s landed at Gardermoen Airport on September 23. But that's merely the beginning. These formidable machines aren't static, they've already taken to the skies in regions where Russia would rather keep them at bay. Current intelligence reveals that these U.S. Navy P-8s have been spotted near the Russian exclave of Kaliningrad, their presence a constant reminder that NATO is ever watchful. Just recently, at least one of these vigilant aircraft was seen patrolling the coast of Kaliningrad. Did it breach Russian airspace, just as Russian drones have frequently infiltrated NATO skies? Regardless of that, the mere existence of the P-8 in the Baltic spells trouble for Putin. It signifies that NATO is not merely observing, it's poised to react, waiting for any misstep from Russia's shadowy fleet. As the tension escalates, one can only imagine Putin's reaction. How will he counteract this encroachment? One thing is certain, the eyes of NATO are focused intently on every move, leaving Russia in a precarious position. In recent weeks, a tense atmosphere has brewed in the Baltic Sea, where every ripple carries heavy implications. NATO, ever vigilant, waits for Russia to slip up, whether that's with its shadowy fleet or its elusive submarines lurking beneath the surface. The unsettling reality for Vladimir Putin is this: the newly arrived U.S. surveillance aircraft signal that his influence over the U.S. has vanished. The arrival of the P-8 Poseidons reinforces NATO's resolve, showing an unmistakable shift in power dynamics. Just a month earlier, on August 1, tension escalated dramatically when U.S. President Donald Trump unveiled plans to deploy nuclear submarines into the Baltic. This bold move was triggered by recent comments from Dmitry Medvedev, a key Russian figure, who accused Trump of making threats over oil tariffs. He declared, "Each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war. Don't go down the Sleepy Joe road." What was it that ignited such a fiery response from Trump? Perhaps it was the audacity of Medvedev's remarks that compelled the U.S. leader to act swiftly. He took to his platform, asserting, "In light of these inflammatory statements, I've ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be placed in strategic regions, ready for anything." While this back and forth may appear to be a mere tit for tat, the reality is more profound. The territories being monitored likely include both the Baltic and the Arctic. As these submarines prowl the depths, they are a potent reminder of NATO's commitment to maintaining stability in the region. With these developments, one can only wonder, what are the implications for Russia's ambitions in the Arctic? As the tension mounts, NATO's military posture grows ever stronger. With the U.S. showing such readiness, a sense of foreboding looms for Russia. The P-8 Poseidon and the nuclear submarines are not just tools, they are symbols of a new age of vigilance and preparedness, ready to respond to any misstep by Russia in this high-stakes game of chess in the waters of the Baltic. Can one imagine the response if aggression sparks from the shadows? Only time will tell, but one thing remains clear: the Baltic Sea is now a battlefield of wits and strategies, with NATO at the helm, watching, waiting, and ready. In this escalating standoff, President Trump's sharp retort to Russia's taunts brought nuclear submarines into play, shifting the balance in the Baltic and Arctic. That chess move, however veiled as precaution, bolstered NATO's defenses, making Russia's mischief far riskier. Imagine the chill of Arctic winds whipping across the deck of an American destroyer, the salty spray stinging your skin as engines roar like distant thunder. A month afterward, the U.S. escalated again, dispatching a carrier group northward for drills with Norwegian forces. Do you think Putin felt the vibration of those warships through the frozen waters? Can Vladimir Putin really ignore this bold projection of power? Their fleet charged into the Barents Sea, a gateway to the Arctic cradling Norway and Russia's coasts, etching a stark warning. Ships like the USS Mahan and USS Bainbridge, Arleigh Burke-class destroyers once tethered to the mighty USS Gerald R. Ford, pierced those icy depths. Though fleeting, their presence hummed with intent, a fleeting echo of cooperation that rattled Russia's solitude. What if one wrong move turns this icy standoff into a storm of regret for Putin? Was this just a temporary gust, or the beginning of relentless surveillance that exposes every Russian shadow? The exercises wrapped, vessels withdrawing like retreating shadows, yet their imprint lingered. Ghostly patrols signaled America's growing bond with NATO allies. No more solo games in what many call a NATO lake. This sent a seismic jolt, challenging Russia's unchecked maneuvers. Flashback, picture the 2014 turbulence. The acrid smell of diesel fumes from Russian ships bullying the Black Sea, waves crashing against hulls as alliances crumbled under economic sanctions. Now, with P-8 Poseidons landing in Norway, that message crystallizes. The U.S. won't sit idle as Russia schemes in Baltic waters, extending to Arctic ambitions. Submarine hunters eyeing Earth's fluid underbelly, above, below, promise utter visibility. Shadows dissolve under unrelenting gaze, and they're prowling active, vigilant. For Putin, this spells doom for Baltic and Arctic dreams. Why risk exposure when every dive might be tracked? First, 2 or 3 P-8 Poseidons in Norway supercharge NATO's Baltic air policing. Beyond recent arrivals, America has long patrolled these skies. Back in July, another P-8 touched down at Iceland's Keflavik Air Base, leaping into Baltic Sentry missions. Which shadows will they unearth next, turning Russia's tactics against them? How long before a Russian captain hears the dreaded ping of detection rising from the depths? In a world where the Baltic Sea is more than just water, it's a battleground for power and influence. Russia's ambitions loom larger than ever. This body of water has transformed into a crucial arena where the specter of hybrid warfare plays out. As tensions rise, one question echoes ominously: how far will Russia go to assert dominance over its neighbors? The U.S. has swiftly countered these maneuvers, deploying advanced aircraft to strengthen NATO's resolve. Among these is the formidable P-8 Poseidon, a multi-role maritime aircraft designed for subsurface and surface warfare. This aircraft isn't just a tool, it represents a new chapter in NATO's air policing mission in the Baltic Sea. Just last July, another P-8 took its place at Keflavik Air Base in Iceland, as part of NATO's Baltic Sentry operation. Now, with fresh deployments of P-8 Poseidons arriving in Norway, NATO's strategy assumes a critical new dimension. These aircraft serve a dual purpose. While they aren't built for direct confrontations with fighter jets, their presence reinforces a formidable early warning system for NATO. They will monitor Russian activities, tracking shadowy vessels and elusive submarines, ensuring that no aggressive move goes unnoticed. The stakes have never seemed higher. September turned into a climactic month, as reports indicated a spike in Russian incursions across European airspace. Drone and fighter jet activity surged. At least 10 nations found themselves in turmoil from these violations. The headlines told a tale of 19 drones breaching Poland's borders, yet similar tactics left footprints in Romania, Germany, Denmark, and France. As the P-8s patrol Norwegian skies, one question lingers: are they merely observers, or will they play a pivotal role in countering Russia's increasingly bold maneuvers? This tense situation spirals into the concept of Russia's shadow fleet, a network of ships that once evaded detection, now under relentless surveillance. What sinister plans could these vessels be orchestrating in the dark waters of the Baltic? Alerts have gone out, and NATO is on high alert. The P-8 Poseidon, with its cutting-edge array of sensors and weaponry, stands poised to usher in a new era of maritime security. Every moment is laden with uncertainty, and the balance of power hangs by a thread. Will Russia gamble everything on its provocative strategies, or will it retreat under the watchful eyes of NATO? The answer could reshape the landscape of not just the Baltic Sea, but the very fabric of international relations itself. As we watch these developments unfold, one thing remains clear: in this high-stakes game, nothing is as it seems, and every decision may tip the scale toward conflict or resolution. Could you believe that America's mighty P-8 Poseidon hunters are closing in on Russia's hidden game in the Baltic? In the salty tang of sea spray whipping against Norway's rugged shores, the tension hangs thick, like fog over icy waters. What if I told you Russia's so-called shadow fleet isn't just dodging oil bans, it's unleashing drone nightmares across Europe? The bitter chill of Arctic winds bites at your face as P-8 patrols hum overhead, their engines a low, relentless growl echoing through empty skies. Ukraine's stunning expose shreds the veil. These ships, cloaked in secrecy, now unleash swarms of drones into foreign airspace. Imagine the ripple of steel and the acrid scent of fuel as those vessels launch, taunting NATO with every incursion. But here's the shocking truth, America's P-8s aren't built to snipe drones from the sky. Why the fury over these buzzing intruders, then? It boils down to exposing Russia's Phantom Armada. Lurking beneath the waves of the Baltic Sea, Russia's submarines once numbered 130 in the Cold War's iron grip. Now, only one known diesel-electric attacker prowls that fleet, its metallic hull slicing through cold currents, sending shivers of dread along NATO's spine. Yet, with up to 3 P-8 Poseidons roaring into Norway, the question pounds like a heartbeat, why so many hunters for such scant prey? Are there more subs lurking unseen, their hulls creaking in the deep, dark abyss? The rumble of detection gear activating pierces the silence, hunting not just vessels but Russia's every shadowed move. And consider the Arctic front, where Norway's ice-crusted coast meets Russia's hungry ambitions. The raw growl of jet engines overhead signals trouble, with frigid winds carrying the sting of uncertainty. Norway's far north, touching the Arctic Circle, drags NATO into this frozen fray, connected by the Baltic's strategic veins. P-8s swarming here aren't mere squadrons, they're sentinels humiliating Putin's reach, turning his Arctic dreams into nightmares of exposure. What dark secrets will these hunters unearth next, as the sea's icy embrace hides turmoil beneath? Will Russia's phantom forces crumble under this unrelenting gaze? Putin's grip on the Arctic faces a brutal split, a twist that shatters his dominance dreams. In the crunch of frost underfoot and the howl of blizzards, America's forces aren't waiting for whispers anymore. The P-8s patrol relentlessly, their sensors piercing the veil, revealing a reality Putin can't deny. His shadow fleets aren't sacred, they're tracked, exposed, stripped bare. But here's the dagger, what if this isn't just defense, but a bold unmasking of Russia's entire undersea empire in the Baltic and beyond? As engines fade into the distance, the revelation lingers, what humiliation awaits next? The U.S. Naval Academy hails the P-8 Poseidon as a beast of the skies, a retooled Boeing 737-800 ERX with reliable power and modular might. The thrum of its turbofan GT engines pulses at 27,000 pounds of thrust each, pushing speeds up to 563 miles per hour, swift enough to sweep vast oceans in record time, perfect for patrolling the Baltic's moody expanse. Insects on fighter jets? Not the P-8's fight. Altitudes topping 41,000 feet let it spy invisible, while defenses like missile warnings and infrared flares fend off aggressors, dropping 129 sonobuoys like sonar bombs to cloak submarines in echoes. Armed for battle yet agile with surveillance, the P-8's weapon bay and pylons load mines, torpedoes, or cruise missiles, whatever the mission demands. The bitter taste of salt air mixes with the metallic edge of readiness as it lurks near Kaliningrad, its presence a silent roar of defiance. Is this the end of Russia's unchallenged rule in these waters, or just the storm's beginning? What unexpected blow will strike Putin's plans now, as the hunters close in? NATO submarine hunters are swarming Russia's borders, exposing Putin's vulnerable Arctic dreams. The Baltic Sea fuels Russia's grip on power, from intimidating NATO with sneaky tactics to routing its shadowy fleets. It's dubbed a NATO lake, where Moscow scrambles to stay relevant. But beneath the waves lies something deeper, a gateway to the icy Arctic, where Putin craves dominance. Will the U.S. shatter his icy throne? Dive into this chilling tale of espionage, betrayal, and nautical nightmares. Swirling winds howl over frozen waters, north of Norway's rugged coast. The Arctic Circle slices through Nordland County, binding this land to eternal frosts. Norway's heart pounds with icy secrets. As a NATO ally, its pulse echoes global stakes. But Russia's forged link, the White Sea-Baltic Canal, churning since 1933, connects these realms like invisible chains. Salt spray stings the skin as invisible threats lurk. Is the Baltic merely a European flashpoint? Or a sneaky portal to Arctic perils? Imagine the bitter cold seeping through your clothes, aircraft engines roaring overhead. America's P-8 Poseidons could spot shadows slipping from Baltic to Arctic undetected, and back. In the unforgiving Arctic, these subhunters shine. The Russian Northern Fleet dominates icy depths, its fleet tilting heavily towards stealthy submarines, 25 subs outnumbering 20 surface ships. Can you feel the dread building? NATO's pulse races. What mischief do these subs brew in frozen waves? The canal whispers possibilities, submarines sneaking between seas unseen. But now, with P-8s prowling Norway's skies, that veil lifts. Sensors hum, scanning anomalies in the chill. Will they uncover Russia's Arctic gambit? Climate change melts icy barriers, unveiling golden route. New shipping lanes emerge, veins of untapped wealth waiting. Russia salivates over resources buried in permafrost. Putin dreams of control in this thawing empire. But NATO's watchful eyes pierce the gloom. The P-8s, with digital anomaly detectors and infrared gazes, stalk every ripple. Shocking question, could these planes humiliate Putin's fleet before it even strikes? Unexpected twist, Russia's subs might slink from Arctic hideouts to Baltic shores via that canal. The P-8s circle like predators, dropping sonobuoys into crashing waves. Each plunge echoes betrayal. Odors of diesel and salt mix in the air. Touch the chill metal of a deployed detector, war's edge is near. Will Putin's Arctic ambitions crack under this glare? A brazen fleet in Arctic waters? NATO pushes back. P-8s enforce the watch. Russian subs tremble in darkness. Their surface comrades feel naked. The canal secrecy shatters. Merchandise routes and resources slip away. Putin's empire cowers, exposed, vulnerable. What desperate move will he make next? NATO's grip tightens in the cold. Arctic routes thaw, petals blooming in an icy garden. Resources gleam like forbidden fruit. But P-8s block the harvest. Sensors whine, sniffing out hidden threats. Baltic to Arctic, one seamless front. Russia sweats in the frost. Will this icy humiliation end Putin's Cold War? Against Russia's watery throne. The P-8s arrived, flying sorties over Kaliningrad's shore. U.S. assertiveness builds. Subs deployed in August. Carrier groups trained nearby. Now, Arctic watchers join the fray. Russia's shadow fleet hides no more. Madison, Wisconsin strategy maelstrom. What iceberg collapses next? Humiliation looms for Putin's admirals. Baltic link exposed. Arctic ambitions ridiculed. P-8s patrol tirelessly. Shocking fact, sub-hunters expose every tremor. Russia's fleet falters. NATO's lake turns trap. Will Putin's Arctic dream freeze over? Suspense builds, with unexpected alliances stirring in the snow. The empty sea stretched under a gray sky, waves whispering secrets as icy winds howled. A sudden flashback gripped the narrator, the sharp sting of salt spray on skin, the metallic tang of rust from Soviet-era subs lurking in shallow depths, the distant boom of detonations echoing from forgotten wars. Why is Putin trembling? His grip on the Arctic slips away. Summarizing the core, the Baltic Sea fuels Russia's hybrid threats, shadow fleets, and NATO defenses, while opening a perilous path to the Arctic dominance Putin craves, but U.S. forces now challenge him fiercely. Dive into the Atlantic Council's revelations from April. They lay bare Putin's obsession with the Northern Sea route. Melting ice unlocks vast shipping lanes and untapped resources. Russia's submarines, 25 of them prowling Arctic waters, aren't just defense. They're a clenched fist, intimidating challengers. The Kremlin views the route as vital infrastructure, barring others from its territorial claims. Militarization looms, like a wolf circling prey. Russia can't physically claim the entire expanse. So, it flexes muscle through subs, daring nations to oppose. Can the U.S., allied with Canada and Norway, shatter this illusion? Their P-8 Poseidons emerge as shadowy sentinels. Will they unveil Russia's true maneuvers in the icy north? Shifting focus to Kaliningrad's shadows. Austin Technical spotted the first P-8 sortie near Russia's Baltic exclave. This wedge between Poland and Baltic states pulses with menace. Strategically nestled, it grants unwanted access to Baltic waters, tying into P-8 patrols. Beyond geography. This compact land, merely 5,800 square miles, hides dangers. Reports whisper of tactical Iskander missiles stationed here, each spanning 310 miles, nuclear-capable. Missiles that rattle NATO's resolve. Surveillance could expose their secrets. The P-8 fleet in Norway looms, potentially gathering intel. But will it suffice against Kaliningrad's mysteries? Flashback again, the crunch of snow under boots, sharp Arctic air biting cheeks, muffled thuds of subs breaching waves. Humiliation awaits. Is Putin's Arctic empire crumbling under U.S. eyes? Extending the thread, Russia's Arctic hunger clashes with global interests. Thawing ice reveals lucrative routes and precious resources. Submarines serve as enforcers. Yet, P-8 spot threats, tracking missiles that could unleash chaos. Build on Kaliningrad's perils. Early assert reports tracked P-8 flights off its coast. Sandwiched geographically, it amplifies threats. Access to Baltic Seas amplifies risks. That exclave, small at 5,800 square miles, harbors Iskander missiles. Their 310-mile range carries nuclear doom. P-8s could pierce the veil, informing NATO. At minimum, they heighten scrutiny. Russia deems this route national, militarizing to bar outsiders. A twist ignites, NATO's watchful eyes humiliate Putin's plays. Howls of diesel engines fade as U.S. planes roar. Have his submarine hunters been outmaneuvered? Summarize prior depths. Arctic ambitions drive Russian militarization. Climate changes reveal routes and riches. Subs intimidate, but P-8s probe vulnerabilities. U.S. Naval Academy details illuminate the P-8 Poseidon. It's a morphed Boeing 737-800 ERX. Blending turbofan reliability with blistering speed. Modular design adapts swiftly. Surveillance reigns supreme. Sensors abound, active multi-static, passive acoustic, spotting hidden foes. Infrared eyes scrutinize. A digital magnetic anomaly detector hunts discrepancies. It waits, senses tingling, zoning in on anomalies. Combat ready too, against ships and subs, not jets. Internal 5-station bay, for wing pylons, 2 centerline spots carry variable arms. Mines, torpedoes, bombs, cruise missiles integrate via digital stores management. UK's Royal Navy adds power strokes. Twin CM56-7 jets thrust 27,000 pounds each, hitting 563 miles per hour. Not supersonic, but swift for vast sweeps. Baltic patrols demand nothing less. 41,000 feet altitude cloaks it from sight. Defenses, missile warnings, infrared jammers, countermeasure dispensers. 129 sonobuoys drop for subdetection. Flashback slices in, cold water splashing decks, the creak of hulls under strain, acrid smoke from drills. Shock surges. Can invisible hunters strike from above? Merge with Arctic edges. Russia's dominance bids falter. P-8s in Norway signal alarm. 3 possibly landed at Gardermoen on September 23. They're active, patrolling Kaliningrad outskirts. Multiple lurk off borders. Newsweek confirms Baltic sweeps, nearing coasts without incursions. Yet presence signals vigilance. Shadow fleets and unseen subs risk exposure. This trumps past ties, Trump's coils unwind. August escalations roar. Trump deployed nuclear subs to Baltic Arctic waters. Response to Medvedev's taunts on tariffs and oil buys. Each ultimatum steps to war, he sneered. Trump countered via Truth Social, ordering subs for provocation curbs. September follows. Carrier Group, USS Mahan and Bainbridge, stormed Barents Sea for Norway drills. Ford Carrier led briefly. Signal of NATO unity, Arctic power projection. P-8s etch the message. U.S. denies domination in NATO's Baltic Lake. Aerial watches track surface and depths. Directors cut flashback, engine roars vibrating bones, fuel odor thick, radar blips pulsing like heartbeats. Provocation peaks, Putin's border exposed, submarines hunted relentlessly. Recap pulse, P-8 deployment stun. Norway bases, active sorties harass Kaliningrad. Manifest surveillance, anti-sub prowess humiliates Russian stealth. Technical prowess unites. P8 Poseidon, adapted 737. Naval Academy praises speed, modular loads, sensor suite, multi-static active, passive acoustic, infrared, magnetic detectors. Weights for norm brakes. Arms bay, pylons for mines, torpedoes, bombs, missiles. Royal Navy engine force, 27,000 pounds thrust, 563 miles per hour cap. 41,000 feet evades view. Defenses, warnings, jammers, dispensers. Plus 129 sonobuoys for sub-hunts. Newsweek scoop, September 30th, P8s to Norway. Kyiv Independent notes anti-submarine, surface intel rolls. Tracks shadow fleets, rendering them vulnerable. Osand X, 2-3 at Gardermoen, sorties off Kaliningrad. Newsweek, 1 patrolled, grazing coast sands incursion. Watches await errors. Trump's moves reignite, August 1st, nuclear subs to regions post-Medvedev slights. Sleepy Joe jabs triggered. Foolish statements provoked deployment. Month later, carrier group entered Barents, Norwegian exercises. Mahan. Bainbridge, prior fort assignments. Transient yet potent signal. P8s fortify, lake surveillance, NATO lake denial. Watches above, below Baltic Arctic. Humiliation twist, Putin's Arctic front stripped bare. Sub-hunter swarm, exposing ambitions. Flashback fades, siren wails piercing fog, damp chill on collars, propeller growls echoing disbelief. Emotional arc peaks, Russia's vulnerability exposed, U.S. dominance asserted. The Baltic Sea represents a complex chessboard for global powers, especially for Russia. Amid escalating tensions, this vital body of water serves as both a strategic front for Moscow and a critical barrier against NATO forces. Its significance deepens with the emergence of the Arctic, a region Vladimir Putin eyes for dominance. As Russia attempts to bolster its influence, the United States stands resolute against such aspirations. Recent deployments signal a strong commitment to secrecy and surveillance. But what happens when the shadowy depths of the Baltic Sea are illuminated? The U.S. military has dispatched several P-8 Poseidon aircraft to Norway, equipped with advanced surveillance capabilities. This aircraft, derived from the Boeing 737, is adept in anti-submarine warfare and capable of monitoring surface vessels. The Poseidon flies high and fast, with a maximum altitude of 41,000 feet and speeds reaching over 560 miles per hour. Who would have imagined this modified jet might be the very eye-watching Russia's shadow fleet? Now, let's delve deeper. As tensions simmer over the military buildup in the region, the presence of Iskander missiles, capable of hitting targets over 300 miles away, adds another layer of complexity. These missiles reside within a tightly controlled area, with the Baltic Sea serving as an intricate stage where NATO and Russia are locked in a game of brinkmanship. The Poseidon, patrolling the skies, gathers intelligence that scrutinizes the movements of these formidable weapons. It's not just a case of naval might, it's a race for information that could tip the balance of power. While the Shadow Fleet might seem a lesser threat, every vessel leaving Kaliningrad could be harboring secrets of impending maneuvers. And what of the military operations stemming from this Russian exclave? As the U.S. Navy targets intelligence on Kaliningrad's activities, the implications could be profound. NATO's strategic interests grow sharper, and the eyes watching from above could be the key to thwarting any aggressive maneuvers. In a world where every flight path and surveillance mission can lead to an unexpected confrontation, will the P-8 prove to be a decisive game-changer? As we witness unfolding events in real time, the stakes are no longer just about territory, they're about ideologies and the survival of alliances. The mere presence of NATO's watchful aircraft sends a clear message to Moscow: the game has changed. What will be the next move on this grand chessboard that crosses the turbulent waters of the Baltic Sea? Stay tuned, as the drama continues to unfold. In recent developments, the Baltic Sea has become a focal point of military tension that is reshaping the geopolitical landscape. Once viewed as a serene body of water, it has transformed into a strategic battleground between Russia and NATO. The significance of this region goes beyond mere territory. It embodies power struggles, surveillance missions, and a looming threat of conflict. Imagine the cold, crisp air of the Baltic Sea. Underneath its surface lies a drama of submarines, spy planes, and high-stakes maneuvers. Russia's interests have long been apparent, particularly through its Kaliningrad exclave. With it, Russia has a foothold to flex its might, employing hybrid warfare tactics that send ripples of fear through NATO nations. But here's the shocking truth: while Russia seeks to dominate the Baltic and extend its influence into the Arctic, the United States is deploying cutting-edge military technology to counter that ambition. The U.S. Navy's P-8 Poseidon aircraft, a marvel of modern engineering, stands at the forefront of this clash. This aircraft, derived from the Boeing 737, isn't your average plane. Equipped with advanced sonar and surveillance tools, it has the power to track down Russian submarines and combat any threats lurking beneath the waves. Reports indicate several P-8s have recently landed in Norway, ready to patrol the Baltic Sea and keep a vigilant watch over Russian activities. Why is this deployment so significant? Because the P-8 Poseidon's presence signals to Putin and his regime that NATO is more alert than ever. With sonar capabilities that reach deep into the sea and a flight ceiling of 41,000 feet, it can monitor the waters around Kaliningrad, a territory loaded with tactical Iskander missiles capable of carrying nuclear warheads. Yes, you heard that right, nuclear capabilities just a stone's throw away from NATO forces. Now, let's consider what this means for the future. The ostentatious maneuvers by Russia, including hybrid warfare tactics that recently endangered the Spanish defense minister's aircraft, point to an escalating conflict. Is NATO prepared for what could be a rapid escalation? The deployment of nuclear submarines alongside the P-8 missions illustrates a firm stance from the U.S. that hasn't gone unnoticed in the Kremlin. With the icy grip of the Arctic also in play, where does this leave Putin's ambitions? At the heart of it all, the narrative is clear: the U.S. intends to assert dominance in these critical regions. As the P-8 Poseidon soar over the Baltic, record every movement, and relay vital information back to command, a chilling reality emerges. The balance of power is shifting. In summation, the Baltic Sea has become a chessboard where each move carries the weight of potential conflict. As U.S. military assets hover ominously above, one must wonder, how will Russia respond in this game of cat and mouse? Will the stakes lead to a new kind of Cold War, or could it escalate into active conflict? The world watches closely, aware that one miscalculation could spark a firestorm no one can control. The P-8s, metaphorically marking their territory in the skies, serve as a reminder that tension is but a heartbeat away from eruption. The question that looms is this: how far is Russia willing to go to assert its dominance, and will NATO rise to the challenge? As this story unfolds, we stand on the precipice of history. Will it be a dance of diplomacy or a plunge into chaos? Only time will reveal the answers.